Hey, I'm Sarah, and this is the Goddess in Training podcast. This isn't about being perfect or polished or having it all figured out. This is about what happens when you actually start listening to your body, your intuition, your patterns, your truth. I'm asking big questions and having real conversations, sometimes messy and sometimes magical, with people who've lived through it, grown through it, and still don't have all the answers. If you've ever doubted yourself, betrayed your gut, or wondered if you're the only one, you're not. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Goddess in Training. I'm your host, Sarah, and today I am absolutely thrilled because my guest is someone who has been on the show before. And if you listen to that episode, you already know why I couldn't wait to have her back. Mage Marigold is a psychic medium, music therapist, and spiritual mentor. She is also one of my closest friends and favorite humans on the planet. And a lot has happened since the last time we sat down together. We went to Costa Rica. I ended up in the hospital with necrotizing fasciitis. Mage got left in the jungle. We got pepper sprayed at a bar on Halloween. And somewhere in all of that chaos, true to divine timing, both of our love lives quietly, completely transformed. In Costa Rica, Mage met someone new, a spark she wasn't looking for in an airport coffee stand 4 hours after writing in her journal that she was done looking for love. And while she was finding that, I was realizing that my own relationship had quietly come to an end. Then Halloween, we're together again because that's the thing with us, and her relationship hits a real turning point, and the very next day, someone new walked into my life. I don't know what it is about the two of us being in the same room, but something always moves, something always alchemizes, and I have a feeling this recording is no different. In this conversation, we talk about what happens when you throw yourself into the unfamiliar, a jungle, a new country, a new relationship, and let it strip you down to who you actually are. We talk about divine partnership, new relationship energy, spiritual bypassing, and why the body always knows before the mind catches up. We talk about the difference between divine connections that teach you and the ones you grow with. And we talk about what it means to romanticize your own life, even when, maybe especially when, you're not sure what's coming next. I am so glad you're here for this one. Let's go. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Goddess in Training. I'm your host, Sarah, and today I am here with my good friend, Mage Marigold, who was one of my very first guests. I can't believe it. It was almost a year ago. I'm so grateful for those of you who have been engaging and listening, and I think that this is just the beginning. And so I'm very excited to be sitting back with my dear friend, Mage, and so much has happened in the past year since we last talked.
Yes.
So I will link the first episode we did together because it's awesome, because I think that Mage is awesome. However, we have so much to talk about because just as a little preview, since last year, we went to Costa Rica together to try to scope out some kind of retreat, which is still on the table. If people are interested, let us know, because we basically have the whole thing scoped out. We just need interest and that motivation to actually pull the trigger. So I'll put that little seed out there. But the trip got interrupted because I got necrotizing fasciitis and was hospitalized for 2 years. Not 2 years. I was hospitalized for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And poor Mage got left abandoned in the jungle as I got whisked off to the hospital.
Journey, though, it's what I needed. So
Right. But then you made a connection at the airport, which probably would not have happened if we were together, because we were supposed to travel home together. So I am a big believer in divine timing, as I know Mage is too. And then I know we can talk about other things that have happened since then, like the night that we were pepper sprayed at a bar.
I had almost forgotten about that.
I, who got the pepper spray in my face, have not forgotten about that night.
I just got it in the mouth.
So anyway, I am so excited. I think we both have evolved in our definition of what love and divine union are. And so I want to get there, but I want to start talking about travel. And you have gotten the travel bug big time.
Bit.
And when we started talking about doing a retreat and when you experienced Costa Rica, my little town of Drake Bay, you got it. You got
why going to a place where you are uncomfortable, where things are challenging, where you don't know the language, how that can open up pathways of healing and learning about yourself.
Yeah, I think it just opens up strength about yourself. When you take yourself and put yourself in a completely different environment, there are parts of you that can come to the surface, and it's not out of like a survival mentality, but it's coming out of like this exploring, like expansion place, which is I'd never really experienced that before. Like being a board certified mental health practitioner and a counselor for 9 years, and then doing this full time. I thought that I was very expanded until I got thrust in a completely unknown situation where I didn't fully speak the language, didn't really even, I don't think I had Google Maps downloaded at that point. So I'm like, okay, so I learned some things, right?
Uh-huh.
But you just learn this piece of yourself that just puts you in this position of empowerment that I think now it's this new mission I have to get more people to do this and try this because we build so much protection for ourselves in our everyday world to maintain that role and pay the bills and do the stuff that we need to do to function as
Mhm.
adults.
Mhm.
That when you have that gift of extra space in an unfamiliar place, it can be one of the most beautiful and powerful things.
Drake Bay is a very, very beautiful place. Somebody characterized it as kind of a frat house, I think is what they
Yeah,
said, which I think is
I
accurate.
think it is. Yeah.
And I was a little bit nervous about Mage in particular because you're a little bougie. You like your nails, and you're more bougie than I am for sure. I naturally can acclimate to the frat house vibe of
Yeah.
Drake Bay. But so, what was your perception when you got there? And I also am not super aware all the time. This is one of, I guess, maybe a challenge that I have of me being different. When I go to Costa Rica and I am like the only gringa, the only white girl around, I forget that and I forget how different I am.
Yeah.
Did you feel that when you were there? Like, did you feel that otherness on a regular basis? And how did that affect you?
I honestly don't think I did. Like, I felt so welcomed by everybody. So I think I'll first start with flying in. So you have to take the little propeller plane from the main airport to Drake Bay. And I mean, like, we're crammed in there, like 4 or 5 people max. The pilot doesn't have shoes on. Like, we're like flying over the mountains. And like, I just am crying because I just felt like I was coming home. It makes me
Mm.
emotional to even think about it right now. But I had this thought come into my head of like, this is what life was like before humans got in the way.
Mm.
And every person that I met, whether it was like I needed help with something where I was just trying to order a coffee at the local shop, everyone was so welcoming and understanding that I never really felt that separateness. And also, I think for me, yes, I can be a little bit bougie, but I have a Gemini moon. So your girl likes to rough it and go sleep in the woods for like 3, 4 days on a mat in a tent somewhere. So I think getting to access that part of my inner child, right?
Mm.
Not the
Yeah.
mage that has to be all put together to record and film and do all these professional meetings, but like little mage that
Mhm.
just wants to go and play in the mud and like see the sloths and slide down a waterfall and
Mhm.
all that little bubble that sometimes I think we can put ourselves into of like, how am I being perceived? All of that kind of went away.
Yeah.
So I think my experience was very much of like a massive shedding and then being witnessed exactly as who I was in that moment,
Mhm.
sweaty and
Uh-huh.
covered in mud and drenched from the rainstorms. And it was just such a beautiful experience.
It does strip you down. And when we were talking about doing a retreat, that's kind of the experience that I've been wanting to give people is so many people, and I've said this before on the podcast, when you travel, people come in with their list of things that they want to accomplish, things that they want to see. And I think that that's so limiting, especially when I see people go to a place like Costa Rica where the whole point is to go and be an experience. And if you are going to be disappointed if you don't see a sloth, then you're going to be disappointed because a sloth is very hidden. And,
Yeah,
and the whole point is that when you do see that sloth or you see something that you've never seen before, it is pure magic.
totally.
Pure magic.
Totally. Animals that I've only ever seen on TV and in magazines, right here in front of your face. And it's hard to even put it into words, that experience,
Mhm.
but it helped me realize like, this is what it's about. Get lost in Costa Rica, get lost exploring. That's how you find yourself. That's how you find new things.
Also, when I am in Costa Rica, I feel like I am embodying love in a way that's different than in other places, and that the people and the place embody love. There's such a love and respect for other human beings, for the environment, for the animals. If there is an animal alongside the road that has been injured in some way, everyone will stop.
Yeah.
Everyone will stop until that animal is cared for.
Mhm.
It's just a different vibration of love that's palpable when you enter into the space. And I think that's where that acceptance comes from too.
Mhm.
So it's easy to fall in love in Costa Rica.
Well, I found that to be the case.
Because you're feeling all that love inside of you. And then you see a beautiful human who's also embodying that love.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little magnet here. I like that.
Mhm. So you have been helping people for a long time in figuring out what role love plays in their lives, who their potential partner may be or may not be, sorting through moments of transition where people have thought that they found their love and that was not their love, and people seeking a divine partnership. We did talk, I think, last time about how we seek out love because deep intimate relationships are our greatest mirror and our greatest teacher in learning about ourselves. But I feel like over the past year my understanding of that has kind of evolved. How has that evolution been for you, and where are you right now when you think about divine partnership?
I think maybe it's the human part of me that's like, oh, now I finally understand it. But then last year I was like, I really
Uh-huh.
understand it.
As we do.
And I think that's the point is
Right.
like we continue to grow and shift and evolve. And so I think the big thing for me, I've learned that divine partnerships maybe don't have this human definition of it's this person and they could be this pathway towards happiness for you and like make this work because our human brains, I feel like, need that sort of structure. We need that sort of answer to be like, okay, what I'm doing is working and I'm headed in the right direction. So when we talk about ascension, right, I have a little slogan you might see on my website is awaken, align, ascend. That ascension is your human self and your divine self coming into unison and you being able to operate simultaneously. The thing that I think really motivated my trip to Costa Rica was the fact that I thought I was in a divine connection. And I will argue to say that it was still a divine connection. It just wouldn't be what I would consider a divine connection because it didn't work out. Right.
Right.
But I think seeing that divine connection as a mirror, right, with this individual, that relationship was going nowhere, it pushed me into this space of, you know what, I'm going to travel. I'm going to live my life. I created this life for myself to be able to work from anywhere in the world. I'm going to do it. And I had never in like 30 years of my life ever really had that opportunity or that desire to alchemize that and create that.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I was reading back my journal the other day and I had written, this was 4 hours before I got to the airport to leave Costa Rica.
Really?
I wrote in my journal on my way out of Costa Rica what an experience this was for me and how meaningful everything had been, and that I was done looking for love and I'm going to romanticize my own life. And, it was just like sitting at the top of this mountain of like, yeah, you know what? Like, I don't need
Self-love.
I just need this right now. Like, this is my next path.
Oh.
4 hours later,
Oh.
I walk into the airport in San Jose. And I think I got there like 4 hours before my flight, so tons of time to kill. It's a small airport.
Yeah.
You very much encouraged me to try all the free coffees and chocolates.
Yeah. That's what you do in the San Jose airport. There is tons and tons of free chocolate and free little cups of coffee. And I do a little rotation. And the shop people kind of look at me and I'm like, oh, this is what I do.
Yeah. So 4 hours after writing that, like, I'm done looking for love, I go to the little coffee stand and this guy comes up to me and yeah, he's trying to sell me coffees and chocolates, but there's a little extra like spark in the air. And it's my current partner. And we spent like the entirety of like the 4 hours just talking to each other. He was feeding me chocolates and coffees, and he was talking about my aura. And then he was like,
Oh,
have you ever heard of peyote? And I'm like, oh my God, like, who are you? Like, how did this even happen?
uh-huh.
So, of course, naturally, we connected and I went back to my country and he stayed there. And it just grew in such a beautiful, slow way that I don't think I really recognized it as a divine connection until I started putting the challenge together with this other person who still has not completely left my life. They're still like floating around in the background. But I think that to me showed that old individual and we were divine. We
Mm,
mirrored back what needed to heal. And I had some things that, even as a board certified mental health practitioner,
right,
I hadn't really acknowledged about myself because I couldn't see it. I
right.
wasn't sitting in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, being in that catalyst for change, I
Mm-hmm.
was able to see that. And I'm able to see now how that helped build me and shape me to be in a divine connection with someone that we are co-creating and we're building together, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a totally different energy. So I think seeing divine connections as it's more a reflection of you and where you're at and how does this relationship shape you to either grow together or grow apart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hard part. A lot of what I work with people on, the coaching that I'm doing, it's what do we do when we start to grow apart, and how do I trust that I'm actually growing into a more expanded, fuller version of myself? Of
Mm,
course I'm going to attract something different.
mm-hmm.
But our little human brains that like to know where we're going, sometimes we
Right.
start freaking out and then we internalize,
Mm-hmm.
which that's all part of the journey too, is understanding what's my process? How do
Mm-hmm.
I process through experiences like that? And there's a beautiful saying, you can have a bad day, but don't let the bad day have you. So how do you understand that process
Right.
without letting it swallow you up completely? Which it
Mm-hmm.
does. I think when that first relationship broke off, I mean, you remember it was like a year of me being in the darkness
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
before I was finally like, let's go to Costa Rica. Let's just like do this. I need
Yeah.
something different in my life. And
Right.
that's how the body works.
Mhm. Well, I think we're so conditioned to seek out what's familiar.
Mm.
And I think that's why when we go on vacation, we have a list because it's like, all right, well, in my human brain, I need to think about what is there and what I want. And we're so goal oriented too.
Exactly.
And when you shed those goals and you get into a flow, that's when beautiful things start arriving into your life,
Yeah.
in my experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what's so bizarre is like I just thinking about these two experiences where when we were in Costa Rica, I fell completely out of love in my hospital experience, realizing that I have these real world needs that were not being met by that relationship. And like you said, I think that was a divine partnership. And I think that it served a purpose and continues to serve a purpose.
Mhm.
But it's not my person. And so I think that there's a difference between a divine union, because it can be divinely inspired, and like the end all be all person
Right.
that you are meant to ride off into the sunset with.
Mhm.
And maybe that's all just an illusion too. Maybe there is no perfect person. And that's part of this like human deficiency that we have, that we've
Yeah.
like built this up, that there is this one person. I almost feel like there is this spirit divine counterpart that I have
Mm.
in the realm that is outside of this world. And each person, each man that I engage with intimately embodies a piece
Mhm.
of who my true divine counterpart is.
Mhm.
And I like thinking about it that way because it removes the guilt and the pressure of, well, this has to be the person. So it was a really life-changing moment that we both had in Costa Rica. And then we get together for Halloween and we thought we were just going to go have fun. I like kissed some guy in a banana costume. We
Oh
drank
my
a
God,
shit
Banana
ton.
Man.
We drank a shit ton of tequila. But that was also a major shift for both of us
Yes.
because that is when your Costa Rica guy came back in. He called, I think, when we were in the
Yeah.
Uber
Because I
on
was
the
pushing him
way.
away heavily at that point.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So that happened. And then the day after that is when my next partner came into my life.
Mhm.
So I don't know, Mage, the two of us together.
We alchemize. I love it. My witchy sister.
And then, I don't know, we're sitting here together again. Let's see what happens after this.
As we write this new chapter that's
Right,
turning in
right,
for us.
right. What is your relationship with the version of ourselves here on earth? And
Mhm.
I just feel more and more that, well, we are one A, and that we do have spirit versions of ourselves.
Mhm.
And when we're connecting to ancestors, to spirit guides, to me, it's all kind of the same thing. If we're all one, it's all, again, like different aspects of the oneness that we can understand. And that's kind of like what our divine counterparts, the people that we engage with on this earth, are giving us those little bits and pieces too.
Exactly.
How do you, yeah, does that resonate with you too?
Absolutely. And I think that's why I have that position of you can have a divine counterpart that you learn from and grow from, or you can have a divine counterpart that you grow with.
Mm,
Right. I
hmm.
think that's really the test because there are certainly people that can find that. Like, I mean, I'm sure there are people you can think of in your mind right now where it's like, oh, they definitely found their person. But you notice they grow together, they
Yeah,
challenge each other. It's not conflict. Challenge and conflict are two very different things.
right,
Most people don't get that. You should challenge each other to grow more because I think I said this the other day. Think of who you were 5 years ago.
right.
I'm not the same
No.
person. So if you can't grow together, if you
Hmm.
can't expand together, then maybe that was just a placeholder to show you the qualities that you either really need in a divine partner
Mm,
or qualities that you need to refine within yourself.
yeah. That's a beautiful way of
Yeah.
putting it. I love reality TV, especially love reality TV. And that's what you see over and over again, whether it be the model where experts put people together because logically they're heading in the same direction. They want the same things in
Mhm.
life. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't because they're almost like too close and it amplifies something that one partner doesn't like in themselves. And that's when they then blow it up.
Right. So you
Mhm.
could either blow it up and say, okay, I'm not doing that. Or you could take the path of challenge and say, instead of blowing it up, how am I
Mhm.
supposed to navigate this differently than I have in the past?
Mhm.
And that's if you ever hear this saying of 1% of the population is doing it, that's why.
Mm.
Think of how easy it is to just blow something up and guaranteed, like some things do need to get blown up because you're not moving from that situation.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's where I think that spiritual piece being connected to this oneness, it does require you to tap into something that's not just human based thinking and ego and fear and anxiety, because
Mhm.
that stuff screams in the background.
Yeah.
Right. So I
Yeah.
think that's why sometimes in even the environmental shift,
Mm, mhm.
right? Me and my person being long distance, oh my gosh, how that space between us creates all this opportunity for my insecurities to come up, for his insecurities to come up,
Right.
but then we can meet in that common place and talk about it and we come out
Mhm.
stronger each and every time. And
Mhm.
that's how you know the difference between being in a true divine counterpart situation that you're meant to continue in,
Mm, mhm.
or okay, this has come to a full circle, this is a cycle for me to close out, I can now jump onto a new timeline.
Mhm. One thing that I've written a lot about recently, because after the Halloween incident, I believed that I had found my divine counterpart. And the data that I was basing that off of was I felt so safe and I felt such coherence with this person. And it was easy. And, there were little things where in retrospect I was compromising, but it was like little things. It was all about the feeling in my body,
Right.
really. And I felt very, very settled and felt like felt like Benji does want to be the star today.
Head aloud here, Benji.
Felt like this is what I want, especially coming off of that night on Halloween where it was so chaotic. And I've had so many chaotic things happen in my life. Like, I just want to be able to take a breath
Right.
and get off the roller coaster and just be calm and have that calmness.
Mhm.
And maybe it's just what I needed for that period of time.
Yeah. And I think I even remember you saying, like, when you first met him, he's very not like my normal type.
Right.
So there was
Right.
an aspect of yourself stepping outside of your comfort zone and trying something new. Right.
Hmm.
So even that's such a beautiful thing to allow ourselves to experience. I think when we get so locked onto an outcome, just like you're talking about on vacation, if you're just going to go and visit these things, you're going to miss so much. I'm getting chills as I talk about it. You're going to miss the whole point because it's not about the outcome or the destination. It's how you navigate the journey.
Hmm.
Right.
I will say too, though, what I learned is that we have to know what we want in the sense of like, we need to know what it feels like in our body. For
Yes,
most of my life, I did not know what safety even felt like.
exactly.
And so I think this was a revelation in that, oh, this feels safe and I know what safety feels like.
Mm,
This is not an illusion. This is safe.
mm,
And at the same time, it made leaving that relationship really easy though, because I was so attuned to my body
exactly.
that as soon as the coherence was gone, like, all right, like this, it's not reparable because it was a combination of logic and feeling, but it was more the feeling in my body that I don't feel that coherence anymore. It's gone.
Hmm.
It's just completely gone.
Hmm.
And that safety was compromised.
Hmm.
And since I now know what that safety feels like and I can generate that and that is me inside myself, I don't want anybody to fluctuate that.
Absolutely. And it's such a beautiful point of taking it back to your body.
Mhm.
That is your number one go-to. Now, obviously, we can have things like trauma and negative experiences that, again, our nervous system's so stupid.
Yeah.
We're so stupid that we
Yeah.
will continue to choose the thing that's not good for us
Yeah.
because we know how to navigate that. We
Right.
know what it's like. Okay, I can compromise my safety a little bit here because I know how I can cope with it,
Mhm.
right? Rather than
Mhm.
saying, okay, my body is telling me this chapter is kind of closing for me.
Mhm.
Now I can fight that and then stay in a 20-year marriage with somebody because we're both afraid of being alone. And we would rather compromise a little bit here to have somebody.
Mhm.
Or we can say, I don't know exactly what this path looks like, but I can trust that this was just a stopping point on my journey, a checkpoint for me to learn things about myself, bring it into the body. That's integration.
Right.
Us humans, we love to analyze and think we can think our way out of trauma. We can think our
Yeah.
way. No, it's body based.
Mhm. Do you have a feeling about or an explanation for new relationship energy? I, having been in open relationships the majority of my adult life, have experienced it a lot and
Mhm,
love that feeling of being in a new relationship.
mhm,
It is just so new and fresh and invigorating, and you feel like you have so much more energy than you did
mhm,
prior to that union. And when you're in an open relationship, this is one of the things that people say the reason why they do it, because it not only elevates them internally, but it can elevate your existing relationships too, because you
mhm,
have this infusion of newness and light and lightness. On the other hand, it can be very dangerous in the illusion that it creates.
mhm,
And I would say in my last relationship, I didn't have that. Like, I didn't
mhm,
feel it.
mhm,
And it made me pause a little bit because I was like, well, is something missing? But I rationalized it by saying, like, well, no, maybe this is just more mature love.
mhm,
It's that I'm focusing on that safety and the fluttering stomach, like, isn't necessary
mhm,
in a union.
mhm.
In your work with people, what role does that new relationship energy play? And I don't believe anything is 100% good, 100% bad. It plays a role,
Right.
right? So, what role does it play? And can a relationship start and be successful without it?
Well, I think to start, I will use another metaphor. I think it's a catalyst, right? It
Right.
becomes that reflection because when we meet somebody new, when we're working on a new relationship, we're not just seeing new potential within the relationship, but we see new potential within ourselves.
Mm,
We see a new
hmm.
chapter unfold. We see potential with them. Everybody is on their best behavior at the beginning of
Right.
new
Yeah.
relationships. Here's the version of myself I would like to present to you. Can we
Hmm.
make this work? So
Hmm.
it's like taking off on that journey, and I see like I'm going to climb that mountain and it's going to be such a beautiful view.
Uh-huh.
And you're climbing it, you have that motivation, and then it starts to get hard,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
there's rocks on the trail, or oh, now we have to kind of like traverse this cavern. And
Starts raining like
I didn't know we were
yesterday.
going to have to go through there. Hang on, let's camp out for the night. Like, let's take a break here, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think it can be that beautiful mirror back to this is the version of me that
Mm,
I want to be, and this is the version
mm,
of you that I feel like you could be because
mhm.
this is who you present to me, right? Here's where we could go together. Now, that can either ignite, we're again going in that same direction together, does not mean that you're going to like find a tram and go to the top of the mountain. Privilege, sometimes people do, but
Yeah.
it means that you guys have to grow together. Some people cannot do that. It's
Mm.
scary. You think
Mhm.
about being in the woods in the middle of the night, having no resources, and this is a completely new situation. I know it could lead to somewhere great, but I'm like, now I'm carrying my partner's bag up the mountain. I don't know if I want to do this anymore, right? So it starts to illuminate, am I people pleasing? Am I have a savior complex? Whatever it is that comes up, that our psyche does such a beautiful job at hiding from us,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? Which is why I think sometimes we need to go through toxic relationships. I can think of
Mhm.
the ones that I've been in my life that, I would say I have gratitude for that DV situation in my life that
Mhm.
most people go, what do you mean? Like, how could you be grateful for that?
Mhm.
There was so much that I learned about myself to eventually move and get myself out of that place and rebuild.
Mhm.
Right. So
Mhm.
sometimes that's the only way that that
Mhm.
little teeny part of us that we've hidden for so many years since that we were a child that can come up to the surface so we can address it. We integrate it. We don't just think our way out of it. And I know I do this. I know this is my habit, but
Mhm.
I know I do it. And now I have an action that I can take to change it.
I think it goes back to the embodiment piece of it too, is that sometimes when things are normalized in our childhood, it's very, very difficult for us to get pulled out of that. And I
Mm-hmm.
know in my own life, unfortunately, the universe has given me lessons that are very, very difficult, but I think I needed them to feel them in my body,
Mm-hmm.
and that there was no amount of logic
Exactly.
that was going to get me to understand,
Absolutely.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the other part of your question, can you have a healthy relationship and a good relationship without that initial? I think absolutely. I
Mhm.
even think about like, yes, there were some sparks when I met my current partner, but the 8 months that we had spent before we just got back from Mexico, which was like solidified things even more. But the 8 months of like really building and growing, like, are we going to do this? Are we going to lock in?
Mhm.
There was fear there.
Yeah.
There was insecurity there. There were
Mhm.
things of myself that it wasn't this, oh my gosh, like you were just so cute. I'm in the honeymoon phase. And like we had that moment, especially
Right.
certainly in Mexico.
Mhm.
But the building of it was a little more rooted in anxiety because this
Mm.
relationship was so different than anything I'd ever allowed myself to
Mhm.
experience before.
Mhm.
So there's that component, but then there's also once you've done a certain level of growing,
Mhm.
right? I trust that I'm able to recognize authenticity within somebody.
Yeah.
This is who they actually are. They say that this is who they are. It's almost like you don't get swept up in the what could be because you're present with what is. And it's a
Mhm.
more grounding, calming kind of feeling like what you were describing
Right.
with your last
Yeah.
partner.
Yeah. I guess I'm now spiraling on that authenticity question because I don't know, Mage. Sometimes I wonder what is true authenticity. That again, like people present who they want you to see,
Hmm.
and we're really fucking good at that.
We're really great at it. Some of us
Yeah.
even pretend to ourselves.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
why we're so good at it.
Right. Exactly.
This is the only thing that I want to put out forward because that's the truth.
And I guess that's the journey is just learning over and over again and feeling in our body, okay, well, this person is authentic and I can trust this person. And then that changes.
Hmm.
And instead of like getting stuck and feeling guilty or feeling like, well, how could I have been so wrong? You then, like you said, like have gratitude. And that's one thing that I've been trying to practice recently is having reverence for all of the life experiences.
Hmm.
And not in the like, "Oh, I learned something." I mean, it's kind of that, but I think it's deeper than that. I
Hmm.
think it's like, without that, I would not be where I am today, and I love where I am today, and but even that feels kind of trite. It's like it's even more deep and spiritual than that, that we need the polarity. As much as we don't want to have the
Right.
polarity in life, and as much as we look at other people and we're like, your life seems so easy. It's not. I don't think,
Yeah,
I think everybody is experiencing polarity. And as
absolutely.
we all are experiencing the world that we're in right now, too, it's kind of thrown in our faces even more.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think also when we start talking about authenticity and navigating new relationships, it's automatically going to pull us back to that file cabinet of,
Mm,
well, this is similar to something that this old partner of mine did. So are they doing that because of this? Right? Like that file cabinet of relationship experience that we bring with us.
Yeah.
So again, am I seeing it correctly or am I seeing it through my lens of trauma?
Mm.
And sometimes it takes a couple of moments, right? Like you said, I had a few compromising moments, but it didn't feel like anything major.
Mhm.
Sometimes it takes a couple of times to get into our system to really recognize, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that is authenticity, or I'm seeing that through my lens of trauma.
Right. It's not simplistic. It can't be boiled down to
Mm-mm.
somebody being completely authentic because they don't exist without our lens,
Yeah,
honestly.
exactly. Your perspective is everything.
Yeah. And so I guess maybe that's something to dig
Yeah.
into is like, what is authenticity
Right.
actually?
And I think too, that also goes into something else that you were talking about, seeing the meaning of it all, right?
Hmm.
Like being grateful for it all. Oftentimes we don't get there until we've stepped onto the new timeline.
Mm,
So that's why it takes time. I
hmm.
might know that I need to find gratitude in this situation, but my human self isn't ready for that just yet
Hmm.
because I can logically think my way through it, but I've not shown myself the difference
Hmm.
of what it creates for me. So we don't, until we get to the other side of that,
Yeah.
I think you can be part of like the other, I call the 14% of the
Mhm.
spiritually bypassing community, and redirection is protection. And this has no effect on me. And I'll just have a Kundalini awakening and I'll balance my chakras. And I'm so grateful. I'm just going to manifest differently. It's a very infantile, I think,
Mhm.
perspective, and shows a lot of need for spiritual maturation. Because I think the more that you can sit in the humanness, because that's the whole reason we came here.
Yeah.
Whatever your belief is, we came
Mhm.
here to experience being human. So we have to give
Yeah.
ourselves that time, infiltrate, integrate, turn into something new, transmuted. And then when we're on the other side of the mountain, oh, now I can have that gratitude because I see what I put the work in for.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? It gives it that
Mhm.
purpose.
I think that circles back around to where we started too,
Mhm.
in putting yourself in a place that is uncomfortable and where that polarity is thrown in your face and where you can experience a different kind of love
Mhm.
and vibration. I think that's the thing about Costa Rica is like this vibration with I'm getting so nostalgic. I haven't been back there.
Say, what are we going again?
I know. I was there like every 2 or 3 months for 2 years and then since my almost dying. But I'm feeling that pull because it's a different kind of vibration and you have to kind of be in your body all the time. You feel the humidity, you feel the rain, you feel gosh, I mean, I feel the whales in the water. I feel the grounding of the mountains. It's just
Mhm.
a completely different kind of experience that
Yeah.
really opens your eyes. And so now I am going to sell you all. Reach out to me a Mage and we'll take you to Costa Rica and you can
Let's do it together. You can do all the things that we're talking about in a very structured way.
But it's so interesting. I think you're a believer in this too, is that, I can't bring somebody who's not ready for that kind of
Right.
experience into that space and have it
Right.
be a positive experience
Well,
too.
because Costa Rica can certainly have that experience. Like, I'm sure you can get on TripAdvisor and look at all like the terrible reviews that people will say. I mean, people have negative reviews about the pyramids, so you
Right.
know.
Right.
But I think
So hot.
if you have that experience of like it was so hot and it was like raining in the morning and like if that is your thing, you're never going to allow the parts of yourself that are really damaged and really hurt. And our shadow starts forming at 3 years old. So if
Mhm.
you can't even sit with the physical discomfort of not having all these like world class amenities and like
Mhm.
luxury stay, like if that is who you are,
Mhm.
yes, that is like your physical environment, but it's so much more about can you even let those parts of yourself come to the surface?
Yeah.
So when you can be in that uncomfortable situation and you are completely shedding every single comfort, it creates an automatic opening for this well inside you to say, well, I want to come forward too.
Mhm.
Look at this piece of me that I've been bearing with all these comforts that I can place around me. Look how successful I can become. Look at how this doesn't
Mhm.
affect me anymore.
Mhm.
So when you strip all of that away and you can just be your raw self and you're at the cacao ceremony and you're just like in it,
Mhm.
you don't even realize what wounds are down there. Because again,
Yeah.
we're so good at covering them up for
Yeah.
survival.
Yeah. But I feel like you could say the same exact thing for diving into a relationship and diving
Exactly.
into love, because you can tread lightly and have your facade
Mhm.
up and have like logically like, well, I can't sleep with somebody until we've been together for 6 months and all these rules. Or you can just throw yourself into it and be vulnerable
Mhm.
and see what comes without any kind of attachment. Because I've been sitting that with that too since my relationship ended. I'm like, people say you should sit and heal and recover and find yourself again. I'm like, I don't know. I love love. I love what love teaches me. And I love that experience, and not in that NRE way, in the fully embodied,
Mhm.
this is life.
Mhm.
And going to Costa Rica, you realize like this is life. And when
Yeah.
I sit home and watch TV, I am missing out.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think that's such a beautiful difference even between like you and I, different strokes for different folks. Some
Hmm.
people, that relationship world is that catalyst for them. For me, maybe not so much now, but earlier in my healing journey, that was a reflection back of something
Mm,
unhealed within me. Now, again, a part of my journey to heal that insecurity and say, like, there is nothing wrong with me. And like,
mm,
just because this partner didn't work out for me, it has nothing to do with, right?
yeah.
So,
Hmm.
I needed to take that space from partner
Yep.
and relationship to work on core beliefs and values within
Hmm.
myself.
Hmm.
And I'm not ashamed to admit that, because I think that's a huge thing that my community and my collective, that's what we're here working on.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where the separation does kind of become necessary. And again, being in that
Oh, yeah.
discomfort and sitting with, it's okay to not feel okay being alone,
Hmm.
but you prove to
Hmm.
yourself that you can do it.
Hmm.
Maybe you need to travel, right?
Right.
What other
Right.
experience crack that's open for you so that
Hmm.
you can re-engage in that relationship? Because that's a
Right.
core principle of the hierarchy of needs is belonging, community,
Yeah.
my person.
For better or worse, that's how we're wired and
Yep.
that's how we learn and grow. Thank you so much.
You're
I
so
love you so
welcome.
much.
I love you.
What is coming up for you that you're excited about?
Drum roll, please. I will be heading to live in Italy for 6 weeks at the beginning of June. My family is from Reggio Calabria, so I'm so excited just to go see our family's birthplace and the cemetery and just get to experience that culture. And also, I think just be in a place where I can prove to myself that, yeah, I can run my business from a different country for 6 weeks. And it's the path that I was put on, what, maybe 3 years ago, that I didn't understand why I was
Yeah.
being put on this path.
Mhm.
And through a lot of action and decision and choice, and also sitting with it and surrendering to the process, that 3 years later, I feel like I'm being spit out into what's going to be quite an incredible chapter. So I'm very excited to offer new courses and new experiences and things that are going to come up for people. But also what I'm able to teach my family, right? That I'm
Right.
going to be okay doing this, and
Yeah.
to teach my relationship, because my person is working in Canada right now. So
Mhm.
we are doing the very, very long distance across multiple countries.
Mhm.
So to be able to see how that's actually strengthening our connection as it already has, and then propel us into more travel together. So stay tuned on the social media. It's going to get real exciting.
I'm very excited. And for real, if you want to go to Costa Rica with us, we can
Yeah,
set that up.
please let us know. It is literally all planned.
It is,
Okay.
right. We just need to insert you into the
Just
equation. So come with us.
come with us, have fun, crack yourself open and see who you can become.
No necrotizing fasciitis.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no,
Or
that was solely your
yeah,
part of
that
the
was just me.
journey.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Goddess in Training. I hope something in this episode stirred your knowing or softened your heart. If it spoke to you, share it with someone who needs it, or leave a review or comment to help others find us. If you're watching on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to hear more conversations like this, please consider supporting Goddess in Training on Patreon. For more tools and offerings to deepen your intuition practice, visit goddessintraining.online. You can also join the Scroll of Sashat on Substack for twice weekly stories of how I followed my intuition. The music for Goddess in Training is Madre Ayahuasca by Arkawa, and you can find more of his music in the link to his website in the show notes. Remember, your intuition is not a mystery, it's a memory. Keep listening.
Resplandor de fuego, estrellita, tabaco santo, fuerza de rapé, soplo de luz, soplo encantado, viajecito